Coming up next, we have Jill Thompson. She's going to be on, and we're going to be reading a really fun book, Scary Godmother. Just one more reminder, get your supplies ready because we're going to be doing some creative crafts in about 20 minutes. So get your colored paper, glue, scissors, crayons, markers, and pencils. And we'll be doing some creative crafts with Carolyn coming up in about 20 minutes. But right now, I'd like to welcome to the room the amazing Jill Thompson. How are you, Jill? Good to see you. Let's see you. There you are.
How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. It's a incredibly crisp and gray autumnal day, so perfect for Halloween, perfect for reading The Scary Godmother of the Boo Flu.
I think so. Yeah.
Let me see which way I can turn to make me less backlit.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
You never can tell until...
Sure, until we're on, right? There you are. That looks good.
Much better.
Nice.
So, the way we've worked this, are we going to have a split screen?
So we are live now. We're good.
I just need, I sent you PDFs so people will be able to see that art and see me at the same time? Or
let's see. I'm going to share that now. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Share application. Scary Godmother. Here we go. All right. So we'll probably do full screen because this art is amazing. So
I think full screen would be great. So I'll read along with what's up on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. This is called The Scary Godmother the Boo Flu. It's the fourth book that I had done in order of Scary Godmother books. There are also comics, and all of this material is available in the Scary Godmother Omnibus that Dark Horse Comics puts out.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one singular story, which I thought would be good and easy to read on screens of all sizes. So I will begin. On a dark autumn night, with lots of work left to do, the Scary Godmother contracted the dreaded Boo Flu. Oh, and we've got two at a time. So first came the sweats, then her face got the pox. She shivered and shook from her head to her socks. While she sneezed and she coughed, her friends put her to bed, and a weak little voice whispered out of her head, "But what about Halloween?" The monsters all fretted and ran willy-nilly. Hannah giggled because she thought they looked silly. "Oh dear, it's disaster! Man, am I bumming! Without Scary Godmother, Halloween won't be coming!" "What's the big deal? Halloween is a cinch." "Are you kidding me, Hannah? We're in a real pinch." "I love Halloween. I know what goes on. Get some candy, a pumpkin. It's not hard to do. I'll take care of that job. You take care of this flu." So her pals dressed her up in a tutu and hat. She was handed a list and a broom and a cat, a thermos and lunch, a bag of supplies, and then Hannah Marie took off to the night skies. As she zoomed up into the indigo blue, she heard Mr. Pettibone, and Bugaboo too. "Good luck, little Hannah, we're counting on you." I can't do a really good Bugaboo voice because I don't have the octave.
Sounds great.
I'm trying to do it. It's really low, and it comes right out of your chest. So I sound more like, I think I'm sounding like Louis Armstrong or something, and that's not what I'm intending to do. So kids, just make the lowest, grumbliest, under the bed monster voice you can think of when you do your own Bugaboo voices. Okay. So when Hannah checked out her list, She was shocked and surprised at the number of tasks and the paper's long size. She started her work, snagging ghost shrieks and moans. She constructed a scarecrow, using sticks as the bones. She assigned all the phantoms to their haunted house spaces. She scattered dry leaves to the tree-deprived places. She crocheted fresh cobwebs. She belfried the bats. She vacuumed the arches in Halloween cats. She coaxed the storm clouds out of warm autumn breezes. While Pettibone treated Scary's horrible sneezes. She conducted a chorus of full moon wolf howls. She set monster jaws into fierce toothy scowls. She poked her poor thumb sewing on monster parts. And one needs to take care during the electric kick starts. With time running out and so much at stake, she didn't have time for her unionized breaks. It's hard to eat sandwiches by the light of the moon, or sip slurps of soup while you're riding a broom. She wised up the owls. She wrapped up a mummy. She delivered some takeout for sea monsters' tummies. But when she arrived at the old pumpkin patch, the substitute godmother had met her match. I can't carve all of these. I've let everyone down. Halloween won't be coming to visit our town. I can see all the frowns on the boys and girls' faces, their costumes never worn to the Halloween places. Hannah's eyes began leaking. She made loud sobbing sounds. She caused Orson the vampire to wake in the ground. The vampire family caused much dirt to scatter as they decoffined themselves to see what was the matter. To see Hannah's tears would cause most hearts to shatter. We've been out camping, my mom, dad, and me. What could be so awful that you disturb such as we? But these are the vampires, used to sounds of sad weeping. Their concern extends to the quality of their sleeping. How does Scary do it? Get all of it done. I bragged to them all that I was number one. To carve all these pumpkins would take my whole life, and I'm not even allowed to use a sharp knife. The vampires laughed with sharp, pointy grins. My dear, we have knives already built in. To give you a hand, here's what we will do. We'll bite out the faces. You scoop out the goo. And that's just what they did all through the night. They chewed jack-o'-lanterns with monstrous delight. Back at Scary's bedside, progress was made. Professor Toad was called to administer an old-timey healing aid. Soon the boo flu was vanquished, all pox, shakes, and sneezes. No longer did her lungs make rattling wheezes. It's time to help Hannah. There's no time to spare. Mr. Pettibone, Bugaboo, I'll race you there. With all sickness banished from her haunted hair, Scary Godmother quickly took to the air. With 3 pumpkins remaining, the vamps widened their eyes. We've got to leave, Hannah. The sun's on the rise. They scrambled back into their earth-covered beds as Halloween sun kissed our girl's weary head. A sleep-deprived Hannah cast her eyes to the street. She twiddled her fingers and shuffled her feet. I'm sorry I bit off more than I could chew. Halloween's here with 3 still left to do. I've blown the deadline. There's lots left on the list. I guess that this year, Halloween will be missed. Scary Godmother just laughed. A magical sound. In the North Woods, when Halloween rolls around, sometimes there's already snow on the ground. And do you think the chill air keeps our spirit away? Snow monsters are made to help celebrate the day. And does the green of the palm trees or the sand on the beach keep bags of sweet candy out of trick-or-treat reach? Halloween's more than lists or the pumpkin-y part. It's the spookity feeling you have deep in your heart. With long purple shadows, a good chill up your spine, that heart-racing feeling comes from me here and mine. This is Hannah's little sister, Ellie. Boo, Pookie, tick-a-tee! Halloween comes to you on monster feet, creeping. And how did Hannah celebrate her Halloween? By sleeping. The end. So
Absolutely
if you get
gorgeous.
outside to go trick-or-treating this year, it doesn't mean you won't have a great Halloween. It means you'll have a cozy and wonderful Halloween that's totally unique. And I'm going to wear a costume, and I know you're going to wear a costume, and that still means there's candy.
That's right. That's right. That was absolutely beautiful. It's such a delightful story. So you sent me that yesterday, and I read through it, and now reading through it again, you know, I picked up other things that I missed the first time. So just your art is amazing. You're just full of surprises, and that's just something that's wonderful. That, you know, I love reading these types of books with my son. He's 5, and he'll pick up on those little things. And I know after reading a book like this, he'll be running around the house pretending to be the monster. Is that Bugaboo? Is he the big round monster? And I could just picture him doing that. So fantastic job as always, Jill. Your artwork's amazing.
I think if you don't have this book and you want to get it, or you can look back over this PDF, you yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you said that, you know, reading it once, I tried to make sure when I did the art that I put lots of interesting little details that even when you read something as quickly as I did, that whoever's looking at the pictures will be able to see all sorts of fun stuff in the background and things that are important to me. Because when I was little, that's the kind of stuff I really liked. I enjoyed not only just what was basically going on, but then you would see all the time and effort that the artists or illustrators would put in to make either little jokes or draw something that suddenly became something that I caught on and was a touchstone to me. One of the books that's popping into my head right now is was a book called The Witch Next Door. And I think it was about someone who was trick-or-treating, like they lived in a big city, and, you know, they're in the apartment next to them, there was a witch. So it wasn't what you would consider traditional, any kind of trick-or-treating, because, you know, it was a big city street. And living in Chicago, that really spoke to me because, you know, we do have wonderful parks and lots of great nature preserves, and our streets are lined with wonderful trees, but, you know, it's super busy. And that I try and bring a lot of those things that meant something to me to the Scary Godmother books that I do. And for the Scary Godmother Halloween special, I just found out a couple days ago that if you live in Canada, there's a streaming service called Crave that is, excuse me, is going to be airing both Scary Godmother Halloween specials on Crave which I think is a streaming app. But
Very
I think
cool.
you can get it if you're in Canada. So it hasn't been on TV in a while, and hopefully this will be the beginning of it getting on all of the streaming services. And those
Very
shows
cool.
are based on all of my books.
That's fantastic. Very cool. And I gotta say, probably one of my favorite images was when she was vacuuming the cats to get that arch.
Those were all my cats. I've only had one cat. He's actually who the Boozle is based on, because he passed away, and he had a little crook in his tail, like the Boozle's tail.
Mhm.
And, he was a cat who would let me vacuum him.
Really?
I've ever had that's not terrified of the vacuum cleaner.
I've never heard of that. Really?
My two current cats, even though my cat Oberon is like super possessive of me and likes to be around me doing everything I do. If like at one point, when I was really busy, I actually had a lady come in to clean my house because she could clean it in 2 hours and it would take me like 12 hours to clean it.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know why. He never bothers her, and he's not afraid when she would use the vacuum cleaner. But if I bring the vacuum cleaner out of the closet, both my dudes run away. But Basil, who became the Boozle, he would just lay in his chair, and he would look at me, and all the other cats would scatter. Because my ex-boyfriend and I had lots of cats together. So technically all the cats in that picture are cats that, I wanted to pay homage to, or other people's cats as well. So it's like either cats that I've owned or cats that friends have owned that had, either passed on or were currently living. And but Basil would sit there and I could vacuum him.
So was this image inspired by that?
Kind of.
Okay.
I thought, like, how would a little kid make the cats do that Halloween?
Yeah. And that was brilliant when I saw that. I was like,
stuff their backs up into an unnatural position to make all the hair stand up.
yeah.
Because I would love if I could vacuum these guys that I've got now, so I wouldn't have so much hair to vacuum.
Right, you take care of the hair problem before it becomes a hair problem.
But Basil would let me. I'd put the upholstery attachment on the vacuum cleaner, and he would just sit there, and I would start rubbing him with it. Like, so I was like, well, "This is great," and he would start purring, and I would lift his up and get his belly.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yeah, he would not run away from it. I think it's because when I got him, he was so small. And I used to carry him everywhere. I used to put him in my hood of my hoodie or carry him on my shoulder. That I don't think he thought anything that I would have would be a scary thing, because he totally trusted me. So it was just kind of like, whatever, Jill,
Yeah.
And it was great. But there were a lot of other cats that, had long, they would run away and hairballs would fly off of them.
Yeah.
They'd be scared.
Right. And now for this art, I know. Do you mainly work just with watercolor for all your pieces, or because this is, all the books that you've done I've always admired. Like, Beasts of Burden was one of my favorites. And any tips or tricks that you can share with young artists that might want to get into watercolor? Myself, I always wanted to try watercolor. I know recently on your Facebook page, you've been posting all these little jack-o'-lantern artworks you've been doing.
Yeah, that's from my Instagram. So people follow me on my Instagram, it gets reposted. And I've been putting them on my TikTok too. I'm the same on most other social media other than Facebook. I'm just my name, but on Instagram, I'm the Jill Thompson. Because I wanted to I don't want to sound pretentious, but I wanted to keep my name without a bunch of random numbers after it.
Right.
So, and also there was a time when I used to work with Neil Gaiman, and when I would call him on the phone about something we would do, he would always like tease me and be a goof. Like when I would say, "Hi Neil, it's Jill," and he would go, "Is this Jill Thompson? Is this the Jill Thompson who I worked with on Sandman? Jill Thompson, who's doing such wonderful, is the Jill," and he would say that all the time. And I was like, "Well, that's going to be my handle now."
Perfect.
It sounds really good in the English accent.
Yeah.
So on my Instagram at the Jill Thompson, or my TikTok at the Jill Thompson, I'm doing time lapses of my watercolor process. And except for the bits where I'm drying things off with the hairdryer, which I might even include in one of these, because sometimes people think it dries that fast.
Right.
But it doesn't. Either you can see a basic process of how I work on something really small. And
Gotcha.
I will be posting other longer process videos there. I also have another Instagram called Scary Godmother's House, and that's specifically got Scary Godmother stuff on it. And I'm working on a new Scary Godmother book, so I want to post more of that. And I have a Patreon, which I'm planning on posting like all of the work in progress on the next book. So you'll be able to see everything as it goes. And that should be starting incredibly soon. The Patreon is up there. It's just that I had a bunch of other work that I was finishing before I could, dive straight into the next Scary Godmother book.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And then do you have any tips or like, I guess, book suggestions for young artists that are trying to get into watercoloring?
Well, let's see. There's a book. Well, my old watercolor instructor had a book which you can find on Amazon, but just as used. Some of them are super expensive. Some of them are very cheap. Called How to Make a Painting. And I'm trained as like in traditional watercolor theory. So, like landscape painting and stuff like that. So it's like all the rules about how watercolor works are in that book. So I've taken what I learned there and I've applied it to comics, right? And Mike Mignola made a comment once where he said that when we were talking about painting, it's like, I don't paint my comics like Alex Ross paints comics or some other, I'm thinking of images from Instagram of all the great artists that I follow who paint something that's a lot more realistic without line. So what I feel like I do in my work is I draw comics with paint. And I don't use any pen and ink line before I paint that. So it goes pencil, watercolor, and an outline in watercolor.
Wow.
So it's tedious and it takes a very long time per page. So my advice to people who are interested in doing watercolor is learn how to control the medium before you start trying to work on your faces or whatever.
Right.
Work back to front when you're painting something. And you also have to be very careful for value, and you have to know color theory. It's like, and don't be afraid to use the white of the paper as your brightest light, and make sure that your darkest dark is like 100% like a black style. Not that's shade, not using black as a dark. You can, but sometimes people think, they're worried that their work, I'm trying to explain this without any visuals. They work on something a lot, but then everything is the same value.
Right.
A depth perception, because they're so afraid of messing up with watercolor that they do a lot of little layers, and then suddenly everything becomes the same tone. And so it's like, what I suggest is on the side of your paper, if you have like your drawing over here and then a scrap piece of paper, put some black on there so you can see how dark you can go.
Okay.
Because watercolor, when you put it on there, it looks really dark, but then it dries lighter, and then you keep going back into it, and it might muddy up. Those are some simple tips when you're working on stuff, and you're gonna mess up.
That's right, and
it's easy. Like with your digital stuff, I can't do digital. Well, not can't. I'm not good at it yet. It's a different mindset, and the way I learned to draw and paint, every setting in Procreate or any other digital program, I don't have to figure out how to move my brush in my hand. I just know how it feels. But there are like 12 settings that I have to adjust to make the brush or the pen look like what I need it to. And I don't even know what any of those terms mean. So I'm so afraid to try and adjust something. They're like, oh, just try it. Which I guess is mine. Don't be afraid. You're going to mess up.
I think that's the bottom line, right? Is that practice, and don't be afraid to mess up.
And it's okay, you're going to mess up. There have been times when I've finished a whole page, like some of the things that you just saw.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I'll either spill something. Like sometimes I dropped my paintbrush, and my drawing table is on a slight slant because of a shoulder injury I have. I can't bend over like this all the time, or else so I have to leave it on a little bit of an angle. So pen will roll down my paper. So for some reason, it's always when I'm using black or a super dark indigo or something that stains like crazy, and I'll start painting and it'll like flip over my thumb and it rolled down the back of my thumb and then down my paper, leaving this big long trail. And I thought I could lift it up, but it wasn't. It immediately stained everything. And I had to just tear up the page and do it. And it was so hard to do, but I've done that more than once. Or I realize something isn't good after I've spent a lot of time on it. It's like, ugh, I can do better than this. And I'll move on to the next page and work until I'm finished and then come back to
and I think that's
messed up because you'll think that's over it too much.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing that you know, that to let young artists know that, you know, you're going to make mistakes. Even stuff like this does happen in the studio, and that you just have to keep at it. But Jill, thank you so much for being with us today. The book was amazing. They can find out more about you on the scarygodmother.com.
That's my website that sells things.
Yep, and then follow her.
Yeah,
follow her at Jill at
more about everything. That's where you go.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Jill. It's good seeing you. And I can't wait to see you in real life at all the comic conventions.
I know.
And have a happy Halloween.
You too. Have a happy Halloween.
Thank you.